Welcome to the Pod of Inquiry, everyone, the podcast for human optimization and understanding. My guest today is Dan Stachofsky, and this is a continuation of our discussion that we had last week. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I'd strongly encourage you to go back and listen to it now before tuning into this one. But this one's really great because it follows up on what I think was one of the greatest explanations of the human physiological effects of EMF that I've encountered in the last 5 or so years that I'm trying to get my head wrapped around this. So please enjoy this continuation of last week's episode with Dan Stachofsky.
Welcome to the Pod of Inquiry. Ready for some thought-provoking cerebral whipping and the destruction of ridiculous medical dogma? Want to shift those stale, moldy old paradigms? Well then, don that thinking cap of yours. Get down in the cave and join our host, Dr. Stephen Barrett, for this week's episode. Let's start spelunking.
Right.
I don't think that number's that far off from the norm. I don't know.
If you look at what you spend on an average healthcare premium that doesn't really do anything for you for your family of 4, it's a lot more than that.
Right. So we're spending a lot of money just to try to hit baseline, and we're struggling. And so when it comes to EMF, I want to talk about good, healthy EMF hygiene. These are things you can do for free. Get sunlight exposure. They say, sun gazing, watching that sunrise. And this is a whole nother kind of window or world to go down, rabbit hole if you want to. But the eyes are the number one photoreceptor in the body. We collect 90% of the light that our body interacts with comes through the eyes. The rest comes through the skin. So it's a major photoreceptor, and it's affected by all those frequencies. So I showed you that slide of the electromagnetic spectrum. All those frequencies that are permeating the environment, our eyes have to deal with. And they're designed to do it. They do it really well. But if there's too much blue light or EMF or electricity, it creates stress on the eyes, and that leads to inflammation. So you can get astigmatisms, you can get glaucomas, you can get cataracts from that prolonged inflammation over a long number of years. Like you said, there are things that can build up. Some of us, it might happen right away, very quickly. Some of us, it might be 20 years. But that prolonged stress can lead to those things. It also affects the hormones. So the sunlight goes through the eyes, hits the hypothalamus, hits that the body clock that regulates everything, and that regulation can get out of sync with our body, and then we have digestive issues because the clock that's in the brain that's managing the hormones and endocrine system and sending signals to the digestive system to function gets out of sync just minutely, but all of a sudden it is out of sync. And now that's another form of stress, and that can lead to digestive issues. And I think I might be going a little bit far, but I wonder how much the gluten intolerance is not caused by some of that because of the inflammation that's being caused. So we want to get out. The reason why sunrise is so important is there's a perfect blend of red and blue light wavelengths from the sun right at sunrise that creates this perfect blue or purple frequency that stimulates our natural hormone production and stimulates melatonin. That melatonin production is what is going to help you sleep that night. So waking up and watching the sunrise is actually going to help you have a better night's sleep, as long as you avoid junk light at night. You turn off your Wi-Fi, keep your cell phone 6 feet away from you, and try really hard not to look at your cell phone or a tablet for at least an hour before bedtime to help your body get into that natural rhythm. So limit your direct exposure. Use a speaker, walk around with a selfie stick, keep it in airplane mode if you're not using your cell phone. Hardwire the internet, turn Wi-Fi off in the car. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but most cars come with Wi-Fi now, and they're set to be always turned on, go in, turn that off. It's might seem small, but it is a form of it's a layer. It's another
Right.
source. Boron, selenium supplements really help with EMF, and regularly detox and then avoid sugars and processed foods. These are healthy things we can do. We can start doing them today, right? But there is a limit to their benefit because we're still left exposed to all the environmental sources, our neighbors' Wi-Fi, all the phones we come around. It's hard to heal in that same environment that made you sick. So I've covered a lot. I know I ran through a bunch there. Slow me down now, kind of pulled me back.
Well, yeah.
This is
So
a big topic. Where
yeah,
can we
no,
go?
well, it's a huge topic, but you showed that graph a while back where it had the curve going up with the different frequencies that were implemented. And uh, I thought that graph was kind of, you could take that graph. Yeah, that's the one right there. You could take that graph and you could overlay it with the incidence of chronic disease in our country. It would almost be an exact copy of that. I mean, literally. The introduction of all of the processed foods and how things, went to hell after, that after a period of time. So in biohacking, you always want to try to stack things, right? To
Yep.
optimize human performance. This is a stacking, but it's a negative stacking, right? So you've got the EMF, you've got the processed food, you've got, all of the things that are going against you. And it's a wonder that we're doing as good as we are.
No kidding.
You
It
know?
shows our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
they're amazing, very dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought this graph, you could use it for 5 or 6 different things because you go back to the early 1900s and it's very interesting looking at the incidence of cancer, looking at the incidence of myocardial infarctions. It's a fraction of what it is today, just like
Right.
the curve on this graph.
And there are other things that layer in here too, like the use of glyphosate in
Right.
farming,
Right.
genetically modified foods, the use of I mean those things layer in also, right?
Right.
But if the energy in our body and our mitochondria is dropping, if our digestive system is dropping, if our genetics are being affected, then the other like inflammatory sources or toxicity that we might have are going to be amplified. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I landed on is at least this is something that I can start to take control of right now.
Right.
I may not be able to change my diet right away. I might not be able to change. There's limits to what you can change, but if I could just get control of the EMF side of it, like I think of it as energy stewardship.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
like if I could steward my energy better, maybe I can start to make an inroads in some of these health issues,
Well, I
brain
think it's
fog,
it's all it's all
memory.
integral. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you may not hit the grand slam home run, but a lot of times you win the game with just singles, and just these little integral things that you can do add up and make long-term benefit.
Yeah, we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to hit the grand slam. Even if we just move the needle a couple percent, and we
Right.
do that every day, uh, we're making progress, and we see people recover. We see people heal from these things. I see it every day, and so there is hope. We are able to restore and give our body the energy it needs, or I could think of it the illumination our body needs. So we can do that, but it takes focus and time, and it helps to have a coach or a guide to do some of that, so we know where we're going and how it interacts with nutrition, how it interacts with healthy living, healthy act. I say 50 years ago, eating healthier, getting outside and moving was probably enough. But
Right.
today, it's just that alone makes a difference, but it won't get you to that ultimate goal that you want to achieve.
Right. Right. No, I thought this was great. It was really the way you laid it out helped me understand more, because this is one of those subjects that when you talk to people about it, the first thing they say is, that's all woo woo and all this other stuff. And then you start really looking into it, and then you see this diversity between the literature, like we mentioned in Nature, about how it only penetrates to not even through the skin, and and then you show the diagrams that show that the brain's getting affected by it, and the cellular mechanisms. I think once you see all this, you can, it's not a big leap of faith to say, okay, this is something that I need to really take into consideration. Maybe you don't have to jump in both feet, deep into the river, but at least now you have a flicker of understanding that will put you in the right direction. And so I think that's important. And I think the way you laid it out, it certainly helped me. I know the audience will appreciate that as well. So now that we've talked about the human physiology devastations from the milieu of electromagnetic pollution that we're running around in, let's talk about your company and what you've been doing to try to mitigate it, because I think this is very interesting. And this is still where I still have some questions about it. So I'm excited to hear your take on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to go, talk about woo woo, here we go. Right. Because this is, this is going down a path that I think we first have to, when we realize that, hey, there are things happening in the world, in the unseen world, that we can't understand or explain,
right?
But we can actually tap into. I think of like, if you pick up a handful of soil, there are so much microbiome in that biota in that soil that you can't see. It's a whole world and ecosystem going on in just a clump of soil that you can't see. So what's happening inside of us? What happened was that, so I started looking down at essential oils, at frequency therapy, pulse EMF, red light, and all this. And I mean, I like a lot of those, but for my 8-year-old daughter, like, it was just kind of too much to always be hooking her up to a machine or some device or something. I needed to find something that was easier to incorporate into our daily life, that I could still have my job in my tech world, because that's where I was working at the time, but I could be protected, and I could just help my daughter be protected and optimized without her having to sit in a chair and be hooked up to something. Let us live our life, basically.
Right.
I mean, that's the dream. How do I live my life but still live in the world that we're in? And that's when I met the inventor and his team that has what I call a harmonizing or structuring light technology. So what is harmonizing light, or resonant photonic harmonics? If we break that down, Albert Einstein said everything is vibration. So resonant, everything is resonating, and it's resonating in a frequency. Either it's going to be coherent or incoherent. Either it's going to be in tune or out of tune. You think of a piano. It's either you hit that middle C. It's either in tune or out of tune. It's either resonating or it's not resonating.
Right.
Sound and light are similar. They're frequencies. So light is either resonating in tune or out of tune with your body. Photonic, it's so these are particles of light. Light can be a particle. It can be a wave. And then harmonics, saying there are levels, there are degrees to light that are important and necessary for it to be full spectrum and to be interacting with the entire self, who we are, our entire field. So this technology, the hurdle I had to get over was that it's baked into a stainless steel plate. It's not a machine. So, but these metal plates have been altered, and they've been altered through a process called plasmonics. And that's the device that the inventor developed, Noel, and he's the genius behind all this. He designed this machine that would treat these plates and it creates a change in the surface structure for how it interacts with light. So when light now hits these plates, it comes out in it and it comes off in a very direct motion. So there's different sizes of plates. So this one's a little easier for me to demonstrate. You've got this plate here, and it is very reflective. It's a mirror finish. So it's not your standard stainless steel. It's been improved and re-engineered, but the light comes in and hits these plates. The plates have vortex technology in them, and then that amplifies their function and strengthens the photon. So we can show through our bioresonance device technologies and electrophotonic cameras that we are amplifying the quality and quantity of light off the surface of these plates. So now as those plates are on me, and I usually wear this in my shirt, but I'm kind of wearing it outside the shirt for demonstration today. This small one is super gentle. These larger ones can be set up out away from you. They don't have to be right next to your body. But that plate is now directing a beam of structuring, harmonizing light, infusing it into the body. The cells pick that up. It picks up that resonance. So it's acting like a tuning fork, a photonic tuning fork for the body. And now the cells are now resonating at a higher degree of order and a better structure. And now that they're more resilient and it's acting like a defensive shield against the stress from EMF. So that non-native EMF comes in, it's polarizing. Well, this is resonating now at a degree where it mitigates that.
Before we continue with this great discussion, I just want to take a quick break to acknowledge this week's sponsor. I'm constantly exploring new avenues to enhance well-being and address any health concerns. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to an exciting supplement called STEM Regen, which I take daily and genuinely believe could revolutionize your health journey as well. STEM Regen stands out as a game changer in the realm of wellness. Crafted from 5 potent plant extracts, it boasts a remarkable ability to stimulate the release of your body's own stem cells from your red bone marrow. Why is this significant? Well, stem cells are the superheroes of our body's natural repair system. They possess the extraordinary capacity to morph into various cell types, aiding in tissue regeneration and repair. As we age, the quantity of circulating stem cells in our system reduces significantly, impairing our body's ability to heal and rejuvenate itself effectively. STEM Regen steps in to counter this decline by kickstarting the release of stem cells into circulation, thereby bolstering your body's innate repair mechanisms. Once unleashed into your bloodstream, these mobilized stem cells actively seek out areas of damage or injury, initiating the healing process. By incorporating STEM Regen into your daily routine, you're essentially empowering your body to tap into its own regenerative prowess more efficiently. I firmly believe that STEM Regen could be a valuable addition to your wellness regimen, especially if you're seeking to fortify overall health and vitality, accelerate tissue repair, or expedite recovery from injury or illness. This first of its kind stem cell mobilizer is changing the game in regenerative medicine. Don't wait to unleash your body's innate healing capabilities. Visit stemregen.co/Dr. Steven, that's with a PH, and use the code SBPOD to get a 15% discount off your first order of STEM Regen.
I've got a couple slides I can show you what that does.
Please show me that, because let me ask you a question before you go there, Dan.
Yep.
If the plate, and you were kind enough to send me one, I've got it on right now, but if the plate is not picking up the sunlight, is it still, how's that work?
Yeah, because your body produces biophotons, just like Fritz Pop said.
Okay.
Every living system produces photons. And so any natural photon gets structured with these plates.
Gotcha.
So that weak emission, yep.
Okay.
And so that's why even wearing it at nighttime.
Okay.
Or a lot of people will put these larger plates under their pillow or next to their bed. at night so that it's in your field and it's amplifying and just keeping you in tune through while you sleep.
Interesting. Okay. That was one of the questions that I had. But
Yeah.
great. Oh, let me get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the share. Okay, great.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
So harmonizing light technology. I mean, this has been recommended by experts, medical doctors, Marlene Siegels, and veterinarian. She saw her heart arrhythmias go away almost immediately. Biohack yourself. A lot of the folks in there are using these. Normal, everyday people. Colleen, she was extremely sensitive. I just spoke to her. This was about 3.5, 4 years ago that she found me. Uh, she has our Elite. She's holding up the Elite light tower here. She says working the same today as it was 3.5 years ago. So she had to wear protective clothing. She had to leave Boston, that became a smart city, move to Spokane, which then became a smart city. She had to move again. The inability for her body to process the electricity was making her change her life. And it was from this harmonizing technology that balanced her system, and she says it changed her life. And now she was already being an advocate. She was trying to advocate in Spokane to stop the proliferation of 5G. Well, today she says I'm now doing the bigger work that I feel like I was called to. So she's into some big things, but with the EMF, she was putting her energy into some good stuff, but she goes, it wasn't the big work that I know I was called for. So your life, I mean, what we focus on, what we are able to do starts to change. Our community develops. Here's another lady who, for 14 years, suffered with systemic mold and EMF sensitivity. Amy, in 14 days, went from having to spend 3 hours with hydrogen peroxide in her ears just to manage the mold and the tinnitus and the head and the pain every day. If she got exposed to a cell tower, that mold in her ears would grow 600 times faster or 600% faster, and she'd have to do hydrogen peroxide in her ears to manage manage it. In 14 days, she says, I don't have to do that anymore. And you can see the vest that she has. She has the Essential Max, the 7-inch square plates in that vest on her chest. That's a lot of light that she's getting. But her system needed that to get over the hurdle. Now, in 14 years, she's probably spent a couple $100,000 on other devices, on supplements, doctor appointments, labs. The list goes on. And now all that maybe had an effect. I mean, I'm not discounting any of that, but in 14 days she saw a massive change, and that was a year ago, and it's still growing, and she's able to now go visit doctors to get help. We have a lot more testimonies. So here's Ben Greenfield using the Essential Flow in his workouts. One of his biohacks. You talked about stacking. This is one of the things that he's stacking with. He's been posting these on his social media. So, could our story with Jane be your wake-up call? That's my question. I want it to be. I really do want it to be, because I want you to realize that there's, like you said, Stephen, there's no escape. It's not going to get better. We've got to find a way to live in harmony. Let's get back to harmony and balance. And that's what these plates do. Here's a visual. You've got the harmful non-native EMFs coming in. In some ways, they hit that plate and they become biologically balanced, biologically sensitive again.
So Dan, we're looking at two effects here. One, it's picking up the photons that are being generated by the body itself, and then also the EMF is hitting the plate. Am I understanding this now?
Correct. Yeah, because the plates are going to interact with all the photons, all the entire electromagnetic spectrum, so all the frequencies. And so the two effects are that it's one, harmonizing, and I'm going to walk through slides that show an independent study that this created harmonization across the entire system, the whole body. So we know, one, baseline. You're balanced. You're getting that harmonization. Secondly, now that you're harmonized, the increased intensity of photonic of the structuring light is going to help optimize that cellular function, which then leads to why in 14 days Amy felt the way she did. If she was using a smaller plate, it would have taken a lot longer. So she got the largest personal device that we have, and she saw that change in 14 days. And she'll tell you, in fact, the testimonies on our website, she says, it's worth it. Invest the money. It changes you. So here's another diagram. So if you start with the sun on the left and work your way around, it hits the sunlight comes through the atmosphere, hits, the satellites, the power, the electrical systems, the grid, everything. It becomes incoherent, less intense. We can measure this with our electrophotonic camera and its sensors. We can measure that the sun's intensity has changed. Our plates help restore that natural balance and intensity, and we call it EMF-Safe family. So let's see. So here's the study by Marius de Alexander. He wrote a book called Not Dark Yet, The Metaphysics of the End Times. But he did this completely blind to me, which if you get into this world of metaphysics and frequencies, our intentions, our mindset can affect the outcome of studies. So the fact that I was completely blind to this, he bought the unit off the website. I didn't know who he was. And he just did the study. And then he called me up about a month later and went through it and said, I need to know what this is. And the reason why is because this device that he used, the PS10 out of Germany, measures 126 points in the body: organs, system, pathology, and environmental stressors. The middle column is the number of fundamental frequencies that were tested against the item on the left, and then the result. This was after 10 minutes of wearing the essential flow, or the pendant. So after just 10 minutes, EMFs were harmonized: geopathic stress, anterior lobe of the pituitary, posterior lobe of the pituitary, pineal gland, the thalamus, the weak defense, thymus, all the aspects of the eyes, the lymph, the cells, gallbladder, stomach, small intestines, thyroid, colon, paranasal sinuses, liver, kidney, your pancreas. That's a big one for diabetes. What's the long-term benefit of having your pancreas be harmonized? Vital energy, your nerves, lung, heart disease, everything with the heart, the rhythm, the tonsils, connective tissue, spleen, skin, hormone balance. What about hypothyroidism? How many people are dealing with that today? What is the number? 1 in 2 women and 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 men have thyroid autoimmune disease.
Right.
A lot of that's caused by the blue light toxicity that we take in for 6 or 7 hours or 10 hours a day. This created that hormone balance. Tinnitus, varicose veins, arthritis, joints, reproductive systems, hair. So he had no financial interest in me. I didn't pay him for this. I didn't even know him. But we see that all the critical aspects of the body's function are brought back into harmony. So now all those healthy practices that you want to tell your patients, or that you're doing in your own life, you're biohacking, you're eating well, you're thinking well, you're moving well, praying well. Well, now if you can get your energy to be well, all those things start to have a better effect. They become more functionalized. So I thought this was just a tremendous study to show on this, and it kind of indicative of what we're talking about.
Right.
Any questions on that?
Well, no, I like it because, anytime you can show me something that has a change, and what I think people need to understand is you can measure this EMF in your home. And in fact, at your website, you have the meters that people can buy. And they can see, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
measurable thing. So I think that's a very big benefit in getting people to buy into a concept. Um,
Yeah.
Metrics are everything. When you're taking care of a patient, you can show them that their A1C is better. Well, that they can't feel their A1C getting better, but they damn sure can look at the lab and say, yeah, wow, it's better. Now I feel like I'm doing something that's worthwhile. And that's what I think you
Right.
showed here.
That's a good point because we want to know that what we spend our time and money on is going to have a return. And
Right.
so we want to be able to see that. So the other way we can do that, and here are the benefits that that study showed. We also can show live blood analysis. So we were doing this first, we did it on animals, on dogs, and this was with Dr. Marlene Siegel, and she has this in her clinic. But these slides may be a little bit hard to see, but there's a before where you see the rouleau. Afterwards, the
Mm-hmm.
cells are starting to become better structured, more round, more space. Let's see. There's another better. Here's a better one. This is now
Oh, wow.
using. We were at the Brain Tap clinic with Dr. Patrick Porter. This
Yeah,
is what on the left
right.
before and after. When you see this, what does it make you think?
Well, I mean, obviously the before you can see they're clumped and there's a lot of adhesion between the cells and even the cells themselves look a little bit impaired compared to the image that you had that says after 10 minutes.
Yeah. And the other thing that I noticed is that the seems like the cells afterwards are brighter. There's
Well, that's
more illumination, right?
yeah, well, for sure, for sure.
They have a feel.
They almost look like a regular marshmallow versus a dried up marshmallow,
Right. Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
And so here's a thought that I've had been thinking about is the difference between light and darkness. Um, Now, I heard this years ago about an MRI. So if I'm not exactly right, correct me, please. MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, when they look at at your body, like say they're looking for cancer cells in the liver, that if the liver is healthy, it's going to be bright white. But if it's got cancer or if it's unhealthy, it's dark, right? That I have that right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because there's so many different nuances, to the MRI imaging itself. They do different, different methods. And so as someone who can look at an MRI and understand morphology, I would really be reluctant to make any comment or opine on that.
Oh, okay. So it's
But
not that simple. Okay, so
yeah,
but when I think about light, I think of light that light is always in motion. It's always moving. I showed you that electromagnetic wave that
right,
it's always going straight and it's always in motion. And but dark, and we know what the speed of light is,
right,
right?
right,
386,000 meters per second squared or something like that, right? So we
right.
know the speed of light. What's the speed of darkness? It's zero. Maybe I mean, but there's
Yeah,
no, there's nothing. There's no life in darkness. There's life in light. There's motion, but there's no motion in darkness.
right,
If you go into a room and say, "Man, this room is too dark," all you have to do is flip the switch on, and the room fills with light. But if you go into a room and say it's too bright, I want it to be dark, you don't flip a switch to turn on the darkness. You turn the light off. And I think that's what's happening in our bodies. If we want to be more alive, we have to turn the light on. We have to get more light into us as opposed to how do we get the darkness out. So our what I like about our technology is it's not just defensive. We're not blocking. We're not trying to put us in a shield or a cage to find health. We're actually proactively, actively giving you life, giving you light.
And now, a message from our sponsor. One of our main sponsors, Approved Medical Solutions, is running a 5-day cost-free study on the effects of their product Clean Ketones or essential tremors. This is going to be a very beneficial application for this product, and they have demonstrated to me that it not only improves my athletic performance by at least 10%, it also helps with clarity and concentration. So if you'd like to enroll somebody that you know into this study, just see the link below and they will welcome you in to try this great product.
Off the plates. So we can see it in water. So I think water is incredible For Austin Veda and all her work with water, and the out of Japan they did the whole thing with water. You can write words on there and you'll see it's changed shape. But when I freeze water, the one on the left, that's been treated with one of our energy plates.
Hmm.
The one on the right hasn't been treated, and you can see there's just a difference to the structure of water.
Wow.
And with water, there's that whole world or understanding about the fourth phase of water, or easy water.
Right.
We won't go into it, but this is, and I think why we see the blood getting structured again is we're expanding that easy water, that easy zone in water and in the blood, and giving that fourth phase of water where we're expanding that in these liquids.
That's a
Another
compelling
way
photo.
that we can demonstrate that is with this device called the BioWell. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's an electrophotonic camera. You can put your finger right inside, and it takes a picture of the light emission off the tips of your fingers.
Wow.
And it's really it measures the stress and the balance. So it's measuring an energetic balance. Again, I
Hmm.
go back to the harmonization balance. We want nature thrives best when it's in nature, or when it's in balance. Sorry. Nature thrives best when it's in balance. Our bodies are best when we're balanced, when we're homeostasis. So here we are on the left. It was 20 minutes with the Essential Pro, or the 4-inch light tower. Um, Before, it was more chaotic, and I've done this with dozens of people now, maybe even more than that. And I mean, that before picture could be all over the place, and then afterwards it always comes into alignment. It always shifts. Now, and again, it's not always that are you perfectly aligned. It's, did it move the needle? And
Hmm.
I do this at conferences. Like, I've got a conference coming up this next in a couple weeks. I'll have this set up at the booth. People can come in, do a 1-minute stress test with a BioWell, hold hold the Essential Pro or the Elite for 5 minutes, do the stress test again, and it's going to shift. Some people will shift more than others, but it will move. And I love doing that because it is showing them. Here's what I do on farms. So we take our large conditioners. Here's an example of one. It's an EMF conditioner, Farm Guard. It's got 4 stacks of those Essential Pros in there. Sets up on a farm. It can protect over 200 acres. The larger one does up to 10,000. But we're measuring using the same BioWell device with its sensor called the Sputnik. We measure the energy on the farm. So before and after, we see entropy. This is a chart of entropy. So how much change and fluctuation is there in the environment energetically? Well, beforehand, it was all over the place. I put our EMF conditioner in, and you see it started to stabilize. Right, and this is right away. I mean, this is immediate.
That's wild.
Immediately, we see a shift.
That's
Do
wild.
you see that? But
Yeah.
this is the hard thing. Your flowers still look the same. Your
Yeah.
grass looks the same. Your animals look the same in that 1 hour. But what we're doing is we're altering the environment. We're improving the environment, uh, and that long term is going to have a benefit. And we see those benefits also with photosynthetic capacity. So we're the ability for photosynthesis to be restored. They say that with all the dimming of the sun and the chemtrails and everything that we see out there, the sun has lost its like up to 30% of its intensity, which means, and photosynthesis requires that sun, that intensity. Well, some of that's getting restored with our conditioners, and we can measure that with a leaf spectrometer. Well, what does that even mean in the real world? John Wood, fifth generation farmer, brought uh, pastured grass farming to Missouri. He saw a 20% increase in his farm yields. And in his beef cattle, he saw a faster daily weight gain. He was able to bring them into market faster. They were healthier. They were just more vital. He said they were more balanced, more just easier to manage. Their eyes were brighter. Overall, looked healthier. since then, we've seen increase in daily weight gain for the cattle, but reduced milk times. So dairy cows, they're letting their milk down faster, which is a sign of less stress. Their fertility is improving, less mortality in their calves, 30 point increase in pregnancy rates. So cows are getting their fertility stronger. Both, I think the bulls are stronger and the cows are stronger as well. So we're seeing that, and we have a program for all these farmers called the EMF-Safe Farm. You can be certified as an EMF-Safe Farm now, endorsed by veterinarians like Dr. Will Winter. He would say, and we have an interview on our website. He's seen the results on his client farms, and that's why he's convinced that it's a must-have to achieve the best results today. You can throw supplements on your feed. You can get the best mineral programs, but you're still suppressed by the EMF. And what a lot of farmers say after experiencing this, it's like they say, it's like the EMF has just been lifted off the farm. It's like there's this lifting aspect. Dave Hutchinson, another video testimonial we have, just high yield farming, more resilient. He's in no man's land, Nebraska. I mean, he is in the Sandhills.
Yeah.
He's fought his life to keep the wind farms out of that whole community. I mean, you're on his farm, you can barely see a cell tower. You can't see any wind turbines anywhere. And yet his cows were still struggling. Why were they struggling? And why did he call me? And he called me in 2022, 2023. You know why? I think, and I mean, I have anecdotal evidence. I'm pulling all this together based on research and what I see happening in the real world. It wasn't 5G, because where he's at, there is no 5G. It's the satellites. In 2019,
yep.
the internet satellites started getting pushed up there. They had, Iridium had sat phones going back years. It's not that we never had these communication satellites, but the density and the intensity and the frequencies they're using have significantly changed. And that, I think, is affecting these cows big time.
Interesting.
And both Dave Hutchinson and Steve Simpson called me at the same time with the same problems. Now, Dave is a beef, a cattle rancher. Steve is a dairyman, but their cows are having the same problems. And in about a month and a half, their problems reversed. Just like Amy, she saw her symptoms reverse in a few weeks. These farmers saw the symptoms in their cows reverse. Just because we were able to change the quality of the environment. Blackberries may be hard to read, but blackberry farmer saw tremendous results. Darren saw a major change with his bees, and the quality of his honeybees and the hives. And we see that a lot. A lot of our farmers will have commercial bee drops on their properties. Honey production is through the roof. Same with corn production or grains and row crops. So that's all the farms. But then what about where you go to get healing?
Right.
These EMF-safe clinics. Your clinic can be an electromagnetic safe space. We have a solution for this. So just like we have an EMF-safe farm, we can certify your clinic with this. And we have several of them are doing that. Cheryl Serta, Occidental Health. And then our products have been reviewed, and we're on several podcasts as well. So there's a lot more you can go learn about what these products are doing. We're working Jamaica and the Caribbean with Dr. Ted Emanuel, changing the equation there with the health there in the Caribbean. Marcia Griffith, Grammy-nominated artist, she is a huge fan, loves it. So, Essential Energy is a team. We're a global team. I'm the one who gets to share it with everybody. And I did start the company to help share that, but I'm backed by the experts and the innovators who are charting the course on how to help people live healthy with even in the midst of this challenge. And so we stand behind our products. I know that we are not the first EMF product that a lot of people will try. You've spent money on other things, but we're probably the only one who will stand behind it and give you your money back. If in just a month you don't see a change, then we don't want you to keep it. We want you to put your money where it's going to benefit you the most. I believe this is going to benefit you the most. I think it's going to be a big part of what becomes your tool belt for safe living and EMF health in the future. And you can use the code here, POI for Pod of Inquiry, POI 10, and you'll get a 10% discount. But I really encourage you to try it risk-free because you get your money back. The 90 days is on the Geofield EMF conditioners. Those work in homes, they work on farms, they work in clinics. That is 90 days just to give you more time, especially on farms. It's great to have a little bit more time with your animals to see that change. But they're very straightforward and simple to use and to take care of and maintain. I think one of the most useful products right now is probably this one because you can wear it around your neck,
Right.
or it's the Essential Active. It comes with a wristband zipper that you can wear on your wristband or on your ankle. And then you can also get a leather sleeve that you can wear as a necklace or right in your pocket. But these products, they may look weird, they look different, but the results speak for themselves. It is both evidence-based and science-based, what we stand on. And I just love sharing it with people because did make a difference for just with Jane. She was, like I said, going to the hospital ER every 3 to 4 months. We introduced her to the Essential Flow and the Essential Pro. These were the two things that I got first. And ever since then, we never went back to the hospital until she had a heart failure during COVID. So that was totally unexpected. She didn't have heart conditions that we were aware of. So that I think is, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but unfortunately, that is where we are. But the thing that I love is that we had 7 years of stability where we got to travel. She learned to swim. She learned to ride a bike. She got engaged in the community. She loved writing people notes. And I think the thing we miss about EMF is because we're constantly under stress, our health is always under attack. We are not as vibrant as we are. We become isolated and we don't get to have as much community. We don't connect maybe with God as much as we could. We don't connect with other people as much as we should because we're constantly trying to fight our health. And if we can balance EMF, I think it allows yes, your health will stabilize, but what can you do for other people? What can you give now? Instead of feeling like you're always a drain around, you become a fountain and you connect with people. Your connection deepens. I saw it in Jane and I've seen it in so many other people. The list is long. And that is what I think we're bringing it. And this is deeper. And that's why Essential Energy is a nonprofit, because I'm not doing this as a business. I'm doing this to share because I think it's so critically important to get our lives back to balance and into harmony with nature and with each other and with ourselves.
Dan, I think that you have done probably the best job uh, in helping my understanding of this concept, which I've been looking at this for several years, to be very honest with you, and I've struggled with it. And I think the way you laid it out was absolutely beautiful. And I think that I'm going to use the word resonate because I think this will resonate. And I also think that what you have done here is like the internet in 1996. we don't even, at that point in time, you had no idea of what the hell was going to go on with it and how it played out. And I think that's where we are right now with this type of stuff. And the understanding and the physiological explanations that you gave were just wonderful. So I really appreciate it. And I would encourage everybody to go to your website, because not only do you talk about these what I'll call mitigation devices, but you have some really great resources on there for people to get more of an understanding. So thanks so much for coming on the show. It was really, for me, it was wonderful.
Likewise, I really appreciate our conversation. I love going back and forth and just being able to share this. And thank you so much for all you're doing, for the information you're getting out there and sharing with so many people. It's an honor to be on your podcast, and it's great to have done this with you today. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And now that you've got me all armored up, I'm going to actually try to do a few experiments on my own. I love N of ones, there's probably no scientific validity to an N of one study, but there really is. And so hopefully I can report more on my personal experience with it. So thank you very much for coming on, Dan.
My pleasure. Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Thank you
too.
Well, folks, if you are over 40 and you are not using a supplement to augment nitric oxide production, you should really rethink that. This molecule is absolutely imperative to the health of so many bodily functions, not the least of which is cardioprotection. If you have any question on nitric oxide, I suggest that you register with Approved Medical Solutions and begin receiving their educational emails. I never miss a day of nitric oxide supplementation. That's how important it is. Long overdue, Approved Medical Solutions created the only nitric oxide replenishment formula without oxalates. Approved Medical Solutions does not use beet, spinach, or arginine. Approved Medical Solutions is proud to offer our audience their oxalate-free nitric oxide formula. If you are not a healthcare provider, you can still get started by going to approvedmedicalsolutions.com and use the code SBarrett at checkout, and you'll receive a 10% medical discount savings. You can register to receive educational emails without any purchase. For licensed practitioners, you too can go to approvedmedicalsolutions.com and get registered today. They have unique bundles for all of the full-fledged spelunkers of the Pod of Inquiry. Use Pod of Inquiry at checkout after registration. Here's a little secret. If you order their testing strips and test every patient for a few clinic days, you will see every one of them be deficient. When they see this result, they will want you to start them up immediately. Now, thanks to Approved Medical Solutions, you can give them the best care without the worry of oxalates. I hope you all enjoyed today's show and got some truly empowering knowledge out of it. You can always follow up on anything we talked about in the show notes found at our website, podofinquiry.com. If you think you might have tickled just a few neurons inside that cerebral cortex, please spread the word to your friends and colleagues and tell them that they need to get spelunking. Also, if you can take a minute to leave a review on your podcast provider of choice, and especially Apple Podcasts, that would greatly help the show and be so appreciated, provided it's positive. And if not, then just keep your pie hole shut and stay down in that cave. Let's keep spelunking.
This podcast is designed for informational purposes only and does not constitute any medical or surgical consulting advice or imply a development of any physician-patient relationship. The opinions of guests who are featured on the show are not necessarily the opinions of Dr. Barrett or the production team. This podcast is owned solely by Barrett Medical and Surgical Media, LLC. While the show is highly oriented for physicians and healthcare providers, anyone interested in the improvement of human performance and understanding will find this a welcome goblet to sip from, or guzzle. However, no representation or warranties are made in any way whatsoever on this podcast for any products, techniques, or other things discussed. Invited guests are not vetted by the Pod of Inquiry for their qualifications and may have a direct or indirect financial interest in what they present and discuss on the show.